So we will, as usual, like we will wait for few more minutes. Our time has started, so we will, right? Let me share the screen. And so I have a kind of a small uh, 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 a presentation today, because I have my student Prachi here. Like, she will explain her journey. In between, I'll give her 10 minutes. Then I'm expecting Rujira ma'am, one of my colleagues, teachers from Delhi Public School, to join. Right? Santosh, please check on whether Rujira ma'am is joining. Right? And
Okay,
she
okay,
will
I'll
talk.
check.
Yeah, she will talk around 10 minutes. So I have a slide for her. Then I have a talk by Amitabh. We will have Oxfam leaders like Lena Goyal uh, uh, possibly joining for a few minutes. That is one organization we work very closely, right? So Canada, we are having elections here. How many of you know that we are having elections here? A lot of things are happening in the world these days. Afghanistan is going down the drain. The Canada is having elections, right? A lot of things are happening. So, so we are having election, and this is Victoria Gallia, right? She was, uh, uh, she is my student in McMaster. She did her. She is running in my riding. So I'm trying. None of you have vote in my riding, so that doesn't matter, right? But I just wanted to let you know that, like, one of my students is actually contesting an election as a green. So after this, so I am I am expected to talk on her behalf in a community event in next 4 hours or 5 hours. And so I'm excited about that. I'm very excited about Victoria. This is her second attempt in running for Canadian Parliament. And okay, so I'm very excited. How many of you guys are considering to enter politics? Anyone?
No, sir.
No one. Oh, okay. I don't blame you. What is going on in the world now, right? So that is, but politics are, that kind of an engagement is very important when you are a young man or a woman in coming up in when you are in school. Be aware, know about politics. Politics is not about, I will talk a little bit about that. It is not about engaging in active things. We will talk a little bit more about that, because one of my key people in my today's talk is President Obama. As you very well know, we will try to trace his high school years, then we will go into his college years and what happened to him, right? Not looking at an inspiration, but actually looking at. So that is one of my important content for this year, right? For today. So Santosh, is Rujira ma'am in? I cannot see her here.
No, she's trying. I sent a new link to her. She's facing
Okay.
some problem. Okay, so I send a link to her now.
Yeah, you send the full link. Maybe
Yeah,
others, like the Oxfam leaders, might also
yeah,
need that. So you keep watching for that, right?
yeah, sure.
So yeah, our Rujira ma'am is joining now.
Yeah, she's
Uh-huh. So you'll be very excited to meet with one of my very important colleague in this practice, Rujira ma'am, Rujira Sarkar. So we have a couple of guests. So control me, Adam. like if I am going too much, my goal is to
Okay.
keep myself around 30 minutes to begin with, then hand over to Prachi for 10 minutes, then to Rujira ma'am, then come back and close the argument, right? You know, how
Okay.
can you be, so you manage my time also, Adam, please.
Sure.
Rujira ma'am, can you hear us? Yeah, she will be there. Okay, so let us start. So one of the, so we have been in this course. This is our fifth session. So we started recording. Yes. So this is our fifth session in the course for navigating for towards the. Is my video on? I'm trying to
Yeah,
navigate.
your video is on.
Yes, sir.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so this is our fifth session. So we started with an introduction, then we moved on to how can we use the research as a university prep tool, right? Then we went and looked at how can we use, how can we develop habit of leadership as a university prep tool, preparing for the university. Then in last class, we looked at how can we use MA, our resources and other things for the for intellectual capacity development. And we, in all these things, we were looking at from an admission officer perspective, also from international from a perspective of international students. So that was the basic premise of our arguments. So our next argument is about how can you be an engaged citizen while in the school, and how can it help in the university, and how can it help moving into the career, right? You know, this is a critical part of our work towards university, in university prep. This is not a very cool thing to do, right? You know, people try to, because I know that doing a great leadership activity, doing great research, all these looks cool, looks very exciting for you guys as a high school student. But I would argue that one of the key things in my last 2 decades of practice as a counselor, as a teacher, what I have seen is being an engaged citizen really work, right? Help in the university, help in your life beyond university, right? You know, in your career beyond university. So that is the quote. I have it here. This is what I am arguing here in this session, is that this being engaged and being very active as a high school student is an excellent way to become educated in a meaningful way, right? You know, so that is the kind of argument I am going to make. You can challenge me throughout the session, so we can have a positive debate and a discussion, because there needs to be debate, there needs to be passion and energy in this, because there are different ways to be engaged. You can be political, you can be social, you can be community oriented, you know, so many things. What will work, what will not work, we can look at. As I was okay, so as I was mentioning to the students who joined earlier, Canadian Parliament is we are having an election to Canadian Parliament on September 20th, and Victoria Gallia, my student, and she is she was my grad student, international relations, and now she's running for Hamilton West and Castor Dundas. This is my riding, and I am going to get really active on her behalf. None of you have an vote to cast, so I'm not pitching her here, right? You know. So, but let us come to another politician, like, you know, so President Obama, right? You know. So remember, like in a typical course of mine, like I will not introduce too many people to confuse you. So we will stick to a couple of people. Like Obama, we have been discussing his work last few sessions, so we can look at. So I'm hoping that you guys got an opportunity to read his books, or it is available. Adam will be posting it on our course page. But what I really want to look at is what the heck he was doing in his school years. So he moved back to United States when he was in fifth grade. Before that, he was in Indonesia, as you very well know. He was born in Hawaii, then moved to Seattle. I'm just giving you a background, right? Not to be inspired, just to understand his journey, right? He moved Hawaii to Seattle, and from there moved briefly to Hawaii for her mother to complete her graduation, and then they both moved to Indonesia. He had an amazing time in Indonesia. You should read his book. And he moved back to Hawaii, right? And joined a private school there in Honolulu, Hawaii, right? If someone is coming to Hawaii conference, we will go to his school, right? It's a great school. It's one of the top schools in Hawaii, right? From fifth grade to 12th grade, he studied there, graduating in 1979, right? So he was in the remarkable. His academic performance was far from spectacular, right? That is what I noted here. Actually, he was a B student, like, and I traced his grades. He got a D in his eighth grade French, right? So if that is a kind of a quality for a leader, I had so many D's in my eighth grade and ninth grade classes, right? Anyway, so he was a D grade student in French specifically. He was, if you read his books, you will see that he was always focused on parties. He was always in the beach, right, meeting with people, and he played sport. He was quite active in the school, right? He maintained that interest throughout. You will see in his life. His best friend is LeBron James, right? So if you are moving into that kind of a thing, he was actually playing for school basketball, and it went on to win the state championship. Actually, he did not play the championship game. He was asked to sit on the bench. Interesting. You must look at, he is President Obama later, but you are looking at what is going on in his life, like he won things like that. And he played for football very seriously, American football, not soccer, right? This is his background in school. But that that's not exciting when you are looking from our perspective, right? Then jump on to that. Few years later, he moved on to Columbia for his undergrad. Last 2 years, actually, he got transferred from a community college in LA to Columbia. Like there, he is finding his rhythm, right? In Columbia, this is one of the articles he wrote while he was in Colombia. He was talking about and his anti-war efforts there and things like that. Oh, beautiful article. Adam will post it. Read through that, right? So I would encourage you to go back. This is an assignment. You should read Dreams from My Father. So when you look into that, what is going on in his life in his early years is beautifully well is reflected. He is a very confused man in his high school years. He is exploring himself in different things, right? Very, you will. So that kind of when he was playing partying in the beach, or playing football, playing basketball, he was interacting. And if you are looking at his book, it's a story of racism in America. That is how he placed his book. It is written like a novel, right? Actually, he modeled it in Ralph's Invisible Man. Beautiful work. I would strongly encourage you to read as a high school student, to get and read and understand how he is reflecting his experience in Hawaii, in Chicago. This book was written in 1995, early years. At that time, he was fresh from his success in Harvard. Like he was the first African American president of Harvard Law Review. There you can see the things which he gained from high school coming into use, right? Where he started negotiating with conservative groups in Harvard to win that election. And then if you are going back and looking at his his speeches later, there is no red America, there is no blue America, there is only United States of America. That kind of a pitch started from his high school years, where he was exploring who he is, right? As a black man in almost 95, 96% white Hawaii, right? Of course, there is a lot of Chinese and Japanese in Hawaii, but he was a unique person with a black identity in Hawaii, in his school. So all these years, if you are looking at, he was carefully listening, he was carefully observing, and he was reflecting, right? And continuous need of dialogue and debate that he gained from the high school, and his travels, like from Hawaii to Seattle to Jakarta to Hawaii, then to LA, and in between he came to Hyderabad to attend a marriage while he was doing his undergrad years. He came to Hyderabad and he went to Pakistan to meet his friends in community college, right? Right. So he traveled, he observed, then you must read his travel to Europe, and then moving back to New York City, then to Chicago, then observe his work in Boston and coming back to Chicago, read, understand all these things. This is for me, this is a beautiful case study of a person, his life in high school. Like how can he use those years in a simple manner to move forward? Amazing. So I strongly encourage you to read it and reflect. And I am open to, if you have a discussion, if you have a question specifically on that, like I am ready to reflect one with any one of you on his journey and how that is working for you, right? So, okay, so there, let us stop that for a second. Let me come to the theoretical part of this work, right? I have very short time, so I need to keep time. So if you are looking at last 4 decades, Harvard University is encouraging students to take a time off before applying to university. We will talk about their approach later in our last session, in a final session, where a dean of admission officer encourages a candidate to go get a life and come back, right? So that kind of a thing, right? And so why I always think why Harvard University is encouraging that, right? Take a gap year, really encouraging on their website. Why is that? So to make you globally aware, broaden your views, understand critical issues. This is their quote: develop your skills, and which will make you more effective in the university, right? Very, very effective in the university. This will give you an opportunity to learn about yourself and learn about the world you live in, right? And you will give you confidence that you can make a positive contribution while in university, right? Which is very, very important. And our research and our data, our work with our students in Mathematical Association of America, and my personal research with Study Iowa and University of Iowa, I am able to conclusively prove that, like, this university, especially engagement work, is a really will help in future academic performance and behavior. Very strong research data prove it, right? I will go through the basic, and then you have seen that in all the sessions. Forgive me, I'm repeating it just to make sure that we have a couple of new people in this class. So I'm going through again through that, the steps in what we are proposing. Okay, all the university work will help you in getting accepted to a top university of your choice. It can be anything. It can be, as I was always mentioning, it can be Harvard, it can be Oxford, it can be Indian Institute of Science, it can be Trivandrum Engineering College, right, where I went through my engineering, right? And it will help you to thrive in a global campus and achieve all the academic requirements. And this will help you in writing great essays, shift your world view, and make this college application process an experience. So sorry, I'm rushing it too. I have serious people sharing my class, so I need to make sure that I'm covering my topic before handing over my class to them. I know Prachi is eagerly waiting to pitch her story, right? We are so excited to hear that, Prachi, right? Okay, so there are three different things which top universities are looking at: habit of leadership, and they always ask, prove your intellectual capacity to join our campus and survive in our campus. And the third important thing is that how engaged is this candidate in his or her community, which is absolutely important, right? For any top school, whichever it may be, right? So I'm not going deep into any of these things. We have talked about this several times in our course last few times. Let me come to this particular thing. Any questions so far? So pretty much straightforward content. So moving forward, there might be some possibility of we can have a discussion. So we will come to that, right? So one of the key thing is that how can you do that? It is so easy for me to sit here in Canada and preach, oh, you need to be an engaged citizen. What is that? What does that mean? So a typical student will come to me and say that, sir, don't worry, I will get a letter from my Mama Ji. She is running an NGO, right? I will say that, no, I'm not going to take it, right? So you need to work. It can be just pushing the wheelchair in a hospital or anything, or taking care of street dogs or whatever it is, or serving food in your temple, church, or mosque, or whatever it is. So everything, you need to volunteer, right? You need to travel. You need to engage in political, social, community action, right? That is what we mean by an engaged citizen. It can be anything, right? As I mentioned, the research shows that overall graduation rates and educational experience better if you have that experience in high school or immediately after high school, right? So this is a picture, this is a photo I took from Give to Canada. It's a huge project where we send a lot of Canadian students to different parts of the world, right, to work there and to volunteer there. Actually, few were in Afghanistan, so they all came back a month back, right? So I'm very close to that program. So there are most of the students who volunteer. They indicate that they have gained a clearer vision of our future goals, right? Something you will click when you are working with the people working in there. You will slowly start getting an understanding what your future is going to look like. So anybody remember that "Oh Shira Shira" song, right? We should have some music also here, right? So I cannot. You guys don't want me to sing in the class, but it's a question where a young person asks the mother, "Who will I be? Who will I be?" I forgot the lines, right? The Dolly Parton show move. So anyone remember that song? Uh,
Yes, sir.
what is that song? Uh, Can you sing it, Mega?
No, sir. Like, not really.
So can anybody remember the words? Suddenly it came to me. Otherwise, I would have posted the song here. It's the basic question you are asking. An young man, a young woman is asking, "Who will I be? Who will I be?" Right? Prachi, do you remember that?
Sarah.
Ah, yeah, Sarah, Shira, right?
Something like that.
It's a beautiful song, right? Where the mother says that, yeah, don't worry about it, you will be okay, right? Beautiful song. So that kind of who you are will come to you when you are working. That is the only way. You cannot read your books, read inspiring stories, and become, oh, I want to be at that. It's so hard. So you need to really, really work, volunteer, engage, meet with people. Okay, go and work in a hospital so that you will understand whether you are like me, which will who will faint in the first sight of a large pool of blood, right? Then I don't want to become a doctor, right? That if you are volunteering, right? Things like that, right? Whether it is 6 days or 6 months, do that. That will help you to establish your personal academic goals. Of course, it will help you to gain new practical skills, right? I remember I learned to tie a rope in my seventh grade a camp, a YMCA camp in Alivay, right? In Kerala, when I was so excited. Like, it was a 2 weeks YMCA camp, a volunteering camp. When I was in seventh grade holidays, I learned so many things. Like, uh, I certain things I cannot declare in an open class. But one thing I can say that I learned to tie the rope. I can even do that, and I can demonstrate you guys to. So it's a very important skill, right? Several practical skills. Then you can develop several soft skills when you are doing these kind of work. Say, for example, we encourage our students to raise funds. It's not about raising funds, but getting $1 from another person's pocket to your pocket is the hardest thing to do. So when somebody comes and tell me that I will ask my mother to cut a check, I said no, I will not take it. Right? You must have a script. You must pick up the phone and call 20 people, beg for money, present your case, why you need that money. So that is a kind of soft skill you can learn, right? And like I am, after coming to North America, I am seeing young people doing garage sales. I know, wow, you must see that. I have some recordings. I'll get Adam to post it. How they are, like seventh graders, eighth graders, how they are arranging the stuff, how they are selling, how they are inviting the people. Like they do lemonade stands, amazing, right? And like few of my students in, like I was involved in there regularly. They do car washing to raise money. I mean, that kind of a thing. It will help you in public speaking and enjoy. It's fun, right? How can you deal with people? How can you solve the problem? You can creative thinking, and of course, find your passion, right? Maybe this is what will happen when you are working. Maybe you are teach for India. You are doing a work. Then you are realizing, oh, this is good. I am good. I am good with kids. I can be a teacher. I can be a counselor, right? So something like that, you will be able to find your passion. That doesn't stop there. Then you go to a university with a clearer mind and start your work towards becoming a professor or a teacher or whoever that is, right? So that kind of a thing, and it will improve your employability. So I will explain one thing, and then we will take a break and discuss, right? This is an article I wrote. Most of you might have read. I don't know whether Adam posted it on our post page. So, but this is it was a 2015, not 2015 article I had on Rediff. It's about finding peace and lessons learned in Texas, right? It's not. I had a passing reference on like this, mainly about my experience with a couple of old people in a plane from Austin to Dallas, right? But the article is more about my work, and I went to Austin to present a paper on the coolest thing which I did so far, like a cutting edge paper I presented in Austin, University of Austin, on evidence-based college admission counseling. Right, I was so thrilled about that. But after getting out of the conference, getting to Austin airport, and when I took this flight, I had the best experience of my life. I was sitting next to an elderly couple. You can read that. I will go through that. So they were coming back from their 50th Peace Corps. That Peace Corps is something like a national service scheme in India, or any all countries will have that, right? Say Peace Corps, like where we train young Americans to go to different countries and promote our values. I mean, let us not go deep into what happened, but I met with this old couple. They were sitting next to me, right in a tight plane. I wish that have not stepped into a plane for last several months. I'm so sad about that. But anyway, coming to that is so and they told their story in a 25-minute, 45-minute flight from Austin to Dallas. So they were talking about how they met while they were in training, how they fell in love, how they were stationed in Iran. That is Shah's Iran. You guys even don't remember Shah's Iran, right? That is pre-Ayatollah years. They learned the Persian. It was so fascinating. Their passion was infectious, right? For me, I was so impressed with all those things. The and I write here, despite the length and the weight of their 50-year period, it was so obvious that how heavy an influence those 2 short years in Iran worked for them. They were so passionate about their experience, right? So I want you guys do all these things not
Sam,
to become
your
a
time's like almost up, like for the for
okay,
your
okay. I
part.
will stop here. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Thanks for reminding, right? So for all these things, right, when you are looking at like so it is not about satisfying your requirement in an essay or a entry into Common App, or satisfying your parents. It should be like you should understand your essay, your application is going to be reviewed by teachers, professionals, and professors who had these kind of experiences, right? They can see it through. When you say that, okay, my Mamaji's letter will fall apart, I guarantee you that, right? And not only that, forget about all these things. I want you guys to be like those old couple. I don't remember their name. I don't remember anything about them, but I remember their face. I remember their passion sitting next to me 50 years after that experience. And remember, imagine like you guys are able to do that 50 years from now, right? Talk about your experience in high school, right? With that same kind of passion, the same kind of energy, right? So I have few more things. Adam, so give me 2 more minutes. Let me run through this.
Yeah.
Then I
Yeah.
will
Okay.
give. Okay. So this is a specific essay I want you guys to review. Where this is an essay written by a young gentleman. This was considered as one of the top essays for that year, and especially in New York University, where he is explaining about it's a problem he faced. He was not like where he's a typical student where he was arguing that I was an ambitious, driven high school student who conditioned himself for the future of success, the definition of which he did not ask. He did not ask at all. You got my point. Like all of us, right? Any one of us, right? So it is kind of like you then simply following a thing, but he was not able to get what he wanted. Then he got into. I encourage you to read. I'm not going to read it here, but over when you are doing something, it will come to you like in he understands. He is see that he is noting it here. He made a realization while doing that work. I was completely lost. Before that, he was very sure about everything. This is going to be my career. This is the university I am going to go. Everything fell apart in that a few weeks of volunteering, right? he was lost. It's a good place. Then he started working on from that. It was like he beautifully writes. It was the kids. It was a kids camp. He was the counselor there, a youth counselor. The kids who guided me out of this self-pitying phase, they taught me to swear in 6 different languages, make flour out of clay, run through the rain. So these are the things, these are the experience will stay with you, not you reading a book, not things like that, And so I was able to give up trying to justify my past choices and the reason for future goals. I focused on day to day. I just lived. I would strongly encourage you guys to read this, and we can reflect with that. Adam, I think that the individual movie clips and everything, we can hold it for
Okay.
after the class, right? So guys, like I have a several, continuing with the admission movie which we were discussing in our previous class. I have 2 more clippings we need to discuss. We will do that after Prachi's and Rujira ma'am's introduction, right? Let me go to that. These are the few things I want where your work will be demonstrated, and this is a travel product which we are having, right? Let me. Okay, no, this is one of the things. So, ma'am, Rujira ma'am, can you step in now? Rujira ma'am, can you hear us?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good evening,
Okay.
sir. I can hear you.
Oh,
Yes.
good, very good, ma'am. Guys, ma'am and I, we have been working almost a decade now, ma'am, right? It has been a long time. I'm not realizing how long it has been, right?
Yes.
So yeah, all good things. So we
Yeah.
traveled, we traveled together. We had several lunches, we had several discussions, several ideas. We worked together. Some things worked, some things never worked, which is okay. So we carried on. This is Rujita Sarkar. Like she is a teacher in a Delhi public school, right? Highly trained, very, very, very focused. One of her work in Delhi public school is encouraging students into a DPS effort called Pehchan. She will be talking about that. These are the pictures which she and I, we took some of the students to Chicago and Cedar Rapids. But she will not talk about that on a CP, but she will talk about her experiences in Pehchan and what did she learn from the students, and how did they do after high school, in university and beyond, right? So ma'am, the class is yours.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So, how much time do I have to elaborate on Pehchan and the work done by children? Sir, you are on mute.
You're on mute, Sham.
Adam, we calculated around 10 minutes, correct?
Yeah.
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 Adam is here. Adam is also Rujira ma'am's student. Right?
Hello.
Hi, hi, Adam. Hi. Yeah.
So we
Yes,
share.
hi.
So lovely.
Okay, we share a lot of students together. Okay, ma'am, you can start. 10
Okay.
minutes. Okay.
Yeah, 10 minutes. So it's 7:42, 5:42, right? I have 10 minutes. Good evening to all of you present here. And I am speaking from India. You must be from all over the world. Great to connect. Just because of Sham sir, I got this opportunity to reach out and share my experiences, and it was lovely hearing sir. Uh, he has a huge, huge experience working with children across the world, and lovely hearing you, sir, and about the publications. Fantastic, fantastic. Adam, hi. Um, great, great to connect once again. Um, so yes, I have been with DPS Faridabad since 1995. Um, the motto of the school is service before self. So the children are initiated into the motto not by words but by action. unless you get down to actually experiencing what this motto means, it really makes no difference to the lives of people. So basically, over a period of time, the school was born, the schools got settled, the boards, the exams, the academics, teachers all settled in, and then it took a few years for us to actually get down to creating a community outreach program. So in 2015, two of my students, Adya Saxena and Akshay Parashar, these two children, they came up with the idea that, ma'am, we've been doing so much of outreach. Why don't we form an association in the school? And then, under the name of Pehchan, we move out into the villages in the vicinity and talk about what we have learned from you and what we have learned through our other teachers, and we get to learn their lives. So there were two different kinds of lives that came together. So these children, they formed another band of children. So initially we had about 25 kids in Pehchan, and they decided to go out into the village, connect with the people in the village, and understand their lives first. So you cannot go and lecture. Who are you? Who are we? We think we are great people in the cities, and that we are in schools and institutions, and we think we know a lot. But then once we went around to understand how a rural India works, we were absolutely taken aback and humbled by what we don't know. So there were two different kinds of people who came together: the children on one side, who are from an urban background, and the children and the people and the older people in the villages who were from the rural background. So first the children went around to understand their lives. So they went around the villages, they went to their farmlands, saw how they worked on the farms, how do they take care of their, the cow, the cutting the grain for the cow, they call, the calf bachra, that is in Hindi they say, and they live in the shed. And then they went around, there's a small little very rustic machine in which they cut the grass. So they said, we will cut the grass. So the ladies, they said, you have to be very careful, it's very sharp. So they went around understanding, very very basic things. So that ways they connected with the people. The people understood, okay, these people have come from a school and they are trying to understand what we do. They went to the field, they saw how the farmers fertilize, how they water the fields, irrigate, weed out what is not necessary. How do they live? They went into the courtyard. How do they cook? So that was the initial step. Then they came back, and they while they were interacting, there was a set of children who were also jotting down points. Talking to them, they could understand that there are some issues in the village which are difficult. Uh, so we came down to writing. Just give me a second. I need to just charge my phone. So they came down to understanding that they need to connect through writing uh, a street play. Unless they dialogue through the language of the people, they would not be able to reach out to them. So they wrote down scenes, and street play came to being with jingles in the local dialect. And these kids now swelled from 25 to around 125, and everybody was excited. So that was our first step into working with the community. When they went out with their first street play to the village, there were huge number of people from the village because they had already connected. They came and heard them. So the panchayat was there. He was so excited, the sarpanch, and he called his members, and then they said, অফ হয়ে গেল আমি
Did we lose her, Adam?
I don't think. I think she's doing something. I don't know.
Okay, so let us not waste time because we are tight on schedule. Like the second part of her thing, like she can come back. What happened to these students? Like, some of them I know really well, right? So I know their work and what happened to them, right? I keep in touch with these students when they do amazing work in school. Then they go out to the university, and after that, what happened, right? So I am very curious to hear from her on that. So let us go to our next teacher and a student, Prachi. Prachi, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So you can take it from here, right? So let me go to Prachi's page. Yes, this is Prachi, and she is a media professional. She have a cool app which MA is supporting to promote among you guys. But that is not why she is here now today. She is going to tell her story from her high school years in Pune to her college years, what happened, and after that, how did she? I'm very curious to know how did she. So she came back, and I mean, how did she find her passion? I'm very curious to know, and how did she put in practice? Ma'am, like, let us hear out Prachi, and we will come back to you. Okay, Prachi, you go ahead.
yeah
Okay.
yeah I have been able to come back.
Okay, we will.
Sorry,
Okay,
my charge went off.
okay. So let us wait. Like, let us hear out Prachi, then we will
Mr.
come
Sham,
back.
you continue. I think I made my
Okay, okay. Prachi, you go ahead.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Shyam sir, for inviting me here. I wish I had a session like this when I was trying to do university prep many years ago. And it was so nice to hear Ruchira ma'am speak as well. A couple of weeks back, I spoke to about 1,000 students from DPS Hyderabad. And it was so amazing to see how smart they are and how aware they are, much more than what I was at that age. But I'm very happy to be here because seeing all of you, all of your faces, it really makes me nostalgic and it takes me back to when I was your age. In fact, when I was a little younger than you, our school gave us a very interesting assignment, a very interesting homework. And they essentially asked us to write ourselves a letter on how we would like to see ourselves in the next 10 years. What would we like to become? Um, what would we like to be doing? Essentially, what do we want to be in the next 10 years? And I wrote that letter. I did that homework. I was very young at the time. And I forgot about it. Now, interestingly, when I was just about to enroll in an engineering university for my degree, when I had finished my high school, and I was at a very turbulent time on deciding what next do I want to do, our school sent us those letters back of what our younger selves had written. And in that letter, I had completely forgotten about it. But when I read that letter, I had written about making an impact, making a difference. And it was like going through that letter was like my younger self was shaking me up and telling me that this is not what you want to do. You want to do something else. You want to do something more. And so I started thinking about why I was about to enroll for an engineering degree. I realized it was because I did not know what else I could do. Everybody in my family was an engineer. It's not really a very strange picture for somebody living in India. Most of us are engineers. And I thought that this is no reason to do something. And so, like Howard recommends, I decided to take a gap year. I sat my parents down. I made a whole proposal for them on how a gap year makes the most sense for me right now. And they went happily on board because they could see that I had put a lot of thought into it. And then we planned out the whole year. I started thinking about what would I like to do if I could learn anything, who would I like to speak to? How do I design my own curriculum? And so in that year, I spoke to many people taking up different careers. I enrolled for courses that I actually felt interested in learning about. And it just happened so that naturally I ended up choosing subjects or gravitating towards things that had something or the other to do with media. And so towards the end of the year, I came to the conclusion that I want to become a media professional. Now, one of the things that I had looked up in this year was how many hours am I going to spend in my professional life? How many hours do each one of us spend at work on an average? Does anybody have a guess? In all our lifetimes, how many hours do we spend at work?
About a third of it, so like about 1,000, about like 10,000.
That's a good guess. So we actually spend about 8 or 9 times of that. Each one of us on an average spends 80,000 to 90,000 hours at work. And I was so surprised to see that number because like you said, I had read before that it takes 10,000 hours for someone to become an expert at something. Now I was like, if we spend even 10% of our professional lives in actually solving some real problems around us, then all of us would become experts at making the world around us a better place. And so I decided that in whatever profession I take up, I wanted to use at least a percentage of my professional time and skills into solving some problems around me. And so when I was in my first semester of college, just when I entered a media university, I again Googled what is the biggest challenge in the world today. And that's when climate change popped up. And I was very surprised to see that because everybody on the internet, all of these global institutions were saying that climate change is a very pressing issue that we need to do something about very urgently. But nobody around me was really talking about it. And so I started thinking about what can an ordinary girl like me do about climate change? And at the time in college, we used to have development sector internships. And I convinced my director at the time to let me make my own project, let me work on this idea I have to enable ordinary citizens to fight climate change. And it took a lot of convincing because it wasn't really conventional for someone to do an internship with themselves. And so, for about 2-3 weeks, every day I would be at his doorstep trying to let me convince him to let me take up this project. And he finally did. And so that's how I started building an app which would help people like me and people like you reduce our own greenhouse gas emissions to a target. And so throughout my college years, while I studied, I also worked on building this app. I got a lot of my friends, I got a lot of my relatives, people I knew onto this project. And while I was studying, I used whatever I had learned into this app. And so as a media professional, I also learned that climate change is not just an environmental problem. It's a media problem. It's a communications issue. We're not telling it right to the people. And so I learned in college to make videos. We had a videography course and I decided to put in action. And we started making a lot of videos about what we were doing, about our project. And by the time I graduated, this app was also ready. So something that had started as a student project from my dorm room, we released it with simple videos that we made, also something that we learned in college, using help from a lot of my batchmates and a lot of my friends. And these videos, we sent it only to people we knew, people who had helped us make this app come to life. They sent it to their friends sent it to their friends. And before we knew it, millions from around the world were watching these videos. And we got citizens from over 55 countries coming onto our platform and making a collective effort to do something about climate change. And something that I started as a student project from my dorm room with a simple thought, now turned into an organization, turned into a citizen-led movement. And it's been a very long journey, and someday we will talk in detail about that. But what I'm really here to talk to you is about 3 things that I would have liked to tell myself when I was your age. And the first thing, and some things that I did along the way that really worked for me also. And the first thing I would like to tell you is, think about what you would like to do. Think about the people you look up to around you. And no matter how big they seem to be, no matter how, even if they're celebrities, even if they're the biggest people in the field that you like, get in touch with them, send them emails, go after them and try and see if they will allow you to work with them, if they would allow you to take up a student project with them, or simply just send them an email about how much you admire your work. And I tell you this because one of the first things that I did when I realized that I wanted to become a social entrepreneur was I looked up 2 entrepreneurs that really inspired me. And I went to their house and I told them that I want to shadow you for a couple of months, and I worked directly with them. And even more than what university taught me, this kind of on-ground work really changed my perspective towards a lot of things. And also, in the process of working on Cool the Globe, one of the things that I've realized is, as students, nobody is beyond our reach. People love it when you get in touch with them. People want to help you. People want you to become the best version of yourself, and they want to enable that journey. So look up your role models and get in touch with them, and it would really change a lot of things. The second thing that I would like to tell you is, while you are learning, really focus on doing. So as soon as you learn something new, try and put it right back into action. And it could be even just 10 minutes of doing. If you learn something new on YouTube, try and do it yourself right away. And just taking those small actions in your day-to-day life, that perspective shift really makes a big difference. And the third thing I would like to tell you is one of the things that Sam sir also sort of did in the early part of his lecture, which I started doing, was I looked up the biggest, some of my biggest role models, and President Obama was one of them. So whenever I look at someone and I think I want to become like them, or I want to do some, or whenever I think that this person inspires me, what I really try to do is try and backtrack their journey. Where did they start from? What did they do when they were in school? What was their first job? What was a turning point in their life? And today we have so much of this information easily available. So whoever your role models are, try and find out how they became what they became, and then you'd realize that it's not really that difficult to reach that level. And so these are just a few things from my experience, and I hope that they helped you. And I would love to keep talking to all of you further.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prachi. Right, so I will give you 2 minutes after that for pitching your Cool the Globe app later, right, in the class. But thank you so much. We will, Adam, please make sure that it is published on the course page. I think it is already there. But he will send it to all the students who have registered for the course, right? I'll give you more opportunity. But thank you so much. It is an
Can you say that again?
journey.
Like my connection is kind of like bad. Can you say that again?
No. We need to place Prachi's app as a downloadable, as her proposal. Everything as a small video is there. We can place it on the course,
Okay.
and that can be an assignment. Students can take a look at that and come back. Right?
Sure.
But anyway, so we will. So, ma'am, can you come back and explain what happened to those 25 students after they left the school?
Sure, sir.
Hello, ma'am. Yes.
Yes,
Go ahead,
sure,
ma'am.
sir. Yeah, thank you. So to wrap it up quickly, I won't take much of your time. So these two kids, these two kids, together with some more, when they grounded with a rural background and understood real India, uh, they found suddenly one day that uh, there was an opportunity where they could reach out to the President of India. At that time, he was Mr. Pranab Mukherjee. So he was going to come for an adolescent fest. So they made it a point that he was definitely invited. So they got in touch with the management that they would like to present their street play. The street play that they had done in the villages of Haryana were on the girl child issue, the education of the girl child, on malnutrition and how to overcome, then on women empowerment, on alcoholism that often wreaks havoc with families. So these were the various issues, and there was honor killing also. In this was a problem in Haryana. So these were the various issues that they talked of in the street plays, and they wanted to connect with the highest man in the country. So they got an opportunity, and they presented their street play, taking the journey from the village to the highest man in the country, that is Mr. Pranab Mukherjee, and they were able to give a voice to the people who do not have a voice. And believe me, children, the kind of experience that these kids, they were really daring, as Prachi beautifully put it, that nobody is, if you really dare, you can come above yourself and become a better version of yourself. So beautifully said by Prachi. So they were able to reach out to the president, and then he said that yes, I really believe and understand that what you are saying and what you are doing is not shallow. It has some a tremendous amount of passion behind it. So they were invited to his, Pranab ji ki pathshala. He used to usually was a man who was very different president, so he would meet children from various parts of the country in his house. So they were invited to his house, and then we went there, and then they presented, their small little talk, and then they heard the president there. From there, the journey went on to a global platform. So these kids then found that they were suddenly invited to the World Children's Day, which was being celebrated in November, and the UNICEF office contacted our school, and they said, we would like your two children to take over the office of the chairman of the United Nations in India, and they would be manning his office for the day. They would be conducting meetings, be on Facebook, do interviews, engage with agencies, and they were absolutely flabbergasted, because all through their journey, they were humble, they were modest, but at the same time, they also dared. They did a lot of reading, a lot of research. So that journey, that day when they went there, and the whole day they spent, Sachin Tendulkar was sponsoring a cricket match for the disabled. So they went there, they were the voice of the children there, and they came back, they took interviews, they were on Facebook. So these two kids are in college today. uh, Akshay is in London, and he's in the London University, and Adya Saxena is an engineering student in Jaipur, in Manipal. But these two children are still connected with the school, because they said, what journey we have achieved in the span of a few years, it's because of what we got from our school. So they were just here yesterday, and they were connected with our program Bonhomie, which reaches out to children and include different kinds of children on a platform. So that's the journey of these two kids only, but there were many stories. But I think I'll stop there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. So I know a couple of students who were in the project. So we will try to place their street play here on our course, so that we can really look at, right? So let me go back and quickly go through a few of the things. How can we put all these things? I think I have. So how much we are already 1 hour, right? 1 hour, 10 minutes. We have around 15 more minutes, correct? Adam?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, 15 more minutes. I think. Okay. So I'm getting a lot of that. Okay. So how will we place? So we did, let me go through whether I missed certain things. Okay. So admission movie we are going to do after the session. So it will be on, this is an assignment. This is a clip where you are this admission officer again, continuing with her story of the admission officer in Princeton meeting with students and listen to the question she is asking. This is the second clip is an interaction between two admission officers where they are heavily invested in looking at your experiences. Listen to that, right? So that is the next one, right? So if you are looking at how will you put everything into this particular document also we discussed earlier. So look at the things which on extracurricular activity this particular student has put on, right? President of Science Club, captain of quiz team, treasurer of community service club. All these things will be in an organized form. Debate club, NHS, and all these things will help, right? In that. And another opportunity for you guys to put that into a college application, or just for, like Prachi said, putting that into a statement of purpose and sending it to Sachin Tendulkar, whoever is your role model, asking for money or whatever it is. You can put several things. One of the key thing this is a typical roadmap I have for preparing the statement of purpose. So if I'm looking at, I want to know one of the key question I want them to answer is not what I want to do in the future, but instead what I want from future, right? That's the question we need to ask. Not why I want, what do I want from future? That is the question, what I want from future. That's the question Prachi asked. That is the question Rujara ma'am student asked. What do I want? Not what I want to become. That is also a valid question, but that is not what it is. So this is one very exciting opportunity which we have for the students. Like, we have not been doing this particular program last several years, where Dan, Peter, and we take students for a tour of let us listen to that. It's very interesting. Then we will come to that. Like, where we discuss architecture, history, politics, everything in a 2 weeks journey through Spain and France. So Adam, I'm trying to see it, whether it will work. Let us see. It's a short video.
From
No, it will work.
Transweb Global, where our real-world experience works for you. Get ready for the time of your life. We are proud to present our 2013 Summer Enrichment Programs. Our trips are designed to be experiences which will differentiate you from your peers when it comes to college and university applications process and essay writing. Our exclusive 2-week program on the Way of St. James in Europe awaits you in July of 2013. This professionally guided program features educational, academic instruction, as well as socialization opportunities on an historic path of pilgrimage. For just $7,295 US, this 2-week experience includes appropriate local transportation, lodging, food, and all educational and physical activities. Professional staff and up to 24 contemporaries will be with you every step of the way of this 2-week trip. It's planned to be just physically challenging enough, yet could be walked at a leisurely pace. From the lush French countryside and small pilgrimage towns to the Spanish coast, El Camino de Santiago will enrich your sensory experience as well. During this guided enrichment experience, staff will be offering the essence of many disciplines along the way. For instance, the main route for the most walk pilgrimages are derived from original trade routes from Roman times. You'll explore the meaning of the scallop shell, discuss architectural influences, and even religious ideas and ideals such as penance and the Compostela. This well-traveled route is secure, and all route travel will happen during appropriate hours. Lodging during the trip will include the full gamut to accept
I'm not going to run the whole thing. It is available. But what I want to propose here is, like, there are structured programs also available. Even if you want to do a gap year or travel to Europe or backpack Europe, there are professional organizations which will help you to navigate that experience. Try that. Even if you are not somebody like Prachi who can take things on your own, so be it. Work with your friends, organize something together, right? Something like that. So where did I lose that? Okay, so okay, I'm going to the next slide. So that is one thing which this is something, and in the end, we can present your, if you have a paper or anything related to being an engaged citizen. So this is something which World Urban Forum is a very, very close event. I've been attending World Urban Forums from WF 8 onwards. I've been to Malaysia, to Saudi, to Abu Dhabi, everywhere. Last 2 years back, it was in Abu Dhabi. So I'm expecting that we are going to be in Poland. If any one of your students want to share some of your experiences, so be it. Let us know. I will be glad to invite you to any of these things. So I will go through. So this is something which, being active, being engaged. Smita, thank you so much for sending. This is a poster in our office in India, where we have a lot of work we do with, this is a Delhi public school, Nacharam, Rujira ma'am. So where I am teaching students on how to give first aid, that is on the left-hand side. The another one is the Oxfam one, where we are very, very closely involved with Oxfam on using that as an experience, where our team will walk like 100 kilometers in 2 days, supported by students, raising funds. In 2019, we were one of the largest fundraisers for Oxfam. And we have Oxfam CEO's message to our students. We will run it briefly, but it will be available on the website. They have 2 projects. Take a look at a club they are offering. DPS Nacharam have that club in their thing. Any one of you want to work on their equity club, please look into that. So we'll quickly run the Amitabh is a dear friend of mine, and not a friend. So we have collaborated in 2019 Oxfam Trail Walk. Great guy. Let us listen to him briefly, then we will go to the next one.
Our mission is to build a discrimination-free India. Oxfam India tries to achieve this by working on gender justice and by fighting the growing inequality. The themes that we work on are climate justice, building voice and leadership of the marginalized communities, deepening democracy, and ensuring a human rights framework for the private sector. In addition, we also work on humanitarian causes. For instance, during the COVID second wave, we've been working with the government health system, and we've been providing oxygen generators, oxygen plants, and several other medical equipment which are very, very critical for saving lives. To do all this, we do need resources, we do need supporters, we need champions. Trail Walker is one of our unique attempts to reach a much wider public, to reach the middle classes, to reach people who have the resources. Through the Trail Walker, they can certainly challenge their bodies, walk 100 kilometers, but they can also support Oxfam India. Please join the Trail Walker and support Oxfam India.
I have one more equity club audio video is also there. Adam is going to place that. Take a look at that and see what is Oxfam doing, and understand what are the things Oxfam is doing. If that works well with your value systems, well with your belief set, join their trail walk. Great experience. I am going to walk 100 kilometers in October. So please join me. and we can raise some money for Oxfam and the great work they are doing. We have great individuals even in this classroom. Mr. Satish is there, so I'm amazed. I think he raised around like 10 or 15 or 100 mobile phones for the students who need to connect with their teachers, right? You know, that's a huge equity problem. I'm very impressed with people like them, and that's what I want you also, you guys also to be there. So this is another school I closely work with, Polymath in Mumbai. Yeah, so this is a bunch of students, amazing students. I really enjoy whenever I'm in Mumbai, I am with those students. This is them getting trained in first aid and CPR. It's a very young school. It's a project-based school. So we do so we talk about disaster preparedness. Now this is a picture they are showing me how to make a human pyramid, right? You know, great kids, right? This is how the spirit that people. This is a picture from 2019 or 2020, early part of that. So there are different opportunities for IB students. They have to do 50 hours of community service, 50 hours in the school, 50 hours outside the school, 50 hours of leadership training. Every IB student need to use these opportunities. And then in the province I live in Canada, like we have a requirement that in 4 years you have to demonstrate that you have done 40 hours of work. And that is also proposed in national education, the new educational policy which the government of India has come out with. And we work closely with SSKs and several government agencies to bring in that concept of holistic education. So I'm looking at I'm running through this, like, you know, when you come to the university, this is from McMaster University site. So when you are coming there, you have a lot of opportunities. You can, this is not jumping in, you can directly go in and meet with. So why there are opportunities, what are the opportunities, research associates. These are all very, very important, very, very active and positions in while you are in the university. When you are applying for a research associate position, like Adam or any one of you will be doing when you are in the university, working in the school in volunteering projects will come handy to become a thing. One thing which I mentioned earlier, this is a Holland Code test. This is a test I am using with the students to understand their career interest. This is one of the most commonly used psychometric testing. And I always feel that the students who have experience in the field, when they come, I will get a more accurate measure. If any one of you want to do an actual psychometric test, it's an one-on-one thing I can do, right? You know, so please book with Adam. We can do a career interest assessment and give it to you. But all these things are social tools, and it will be more accurate if you have more experience working in the community, right? You know, so that is one argument I make. So there are different things we do, different opportunities we have working in the United States with the LBA Foundation, in India, in Canada with Six Foundation. Lot of activities in India. We closely work with Oxfam. All these opportunities are available. And some of the things I am personally doing, as you see, I am in my green shirt. I'm going to be, in next 20 days, I'm going to be really active in Canada, in the politics, which is close to my heart, right? You know, so election, the audacity, where there is again coming back to President Obama in his book Audacity, Hope, like he mentions a beautiful thing where he was first running for the state Senate election in Illinois. When he was walking from one bakery to another, a person stops him and asks him, you seems like a nice man, why you want to be in politics? He laughs about it, right? You know, so it's kind of that kind of, but for me politics is an opportunity to meet with people, listen to them and understand them and know their problems. So I am raring to go and talk to them. And then I take a very green course in Conestoga College. It's called Cars Are Us, where I argue that, okay, one of the biggest problem in Canada and in Western world, we have too much car, and our lifestyle is designed around cars. Cars Are Us. It's a very popular grad level course, right? I will give you guys an experience to sit in a grad class later, because that's a fall class which I will start in September, right? So this will help you to create a portfolio of experience, and it will help you to market, because I'm sure that all of you in this classroom are amazing product, right? Without a good marketing strategy, you will not be bought by an amazing university. So you need to put together a marketing plan also. It's very hard for me, a non-businessy person, to say a marketing plan and sales plan. I have no idea what I am talking about, but that is all very, very important. So I'm looking for the next class. I think I missed some of the key content I want to discuss, but I want to keep the time. But I am here for next 10-15 minutes. If anyone want to continue the call, I am open. But otherwise, so the class is over. Thank you so much for any question. I am here. But the class is over. You are free from my side. So let me close I'm looking forward for the last session, right? Anyone got any question?
I would like to ask about my journal.
Sure. Go ahead. Anyone else? So if anyone wants to book a private one-on-one session with me to do the career assessment, the career interest assessment, that needs to be done in our secure platform. There are rules and regulations to coming into a non-public one-on-one session. You need to have the consent form filled in with Adam. Only then I can have you. I think several students raised their hand.
Yeah,
Okay,
Praveen, Sadia. Praveen, you can go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. If you have a question, go ahead.
Sorry to trouble you, but then I want to remind about that Facebook assignment. Because you can't find the link, sir. Can you please post it?
Oh, okay. Adam, like you are doing the streaming of the movie. When are you going to do that?
I don't know. I haven't decided it.
Okay, so Adam will be streaming it from here. Unfortunately, the movie which Praveen is referring to, the assignment, it is available on Netflix, but it is not on Indian Netflix. Even if we give you the American account, but when you log in, you may not able to get it. So Adam is going to stream it, and please listen to that. All of you guys want to complete that thing, please listen, and it will be available. So we cannot. So it is a very legitimate thing, right? We are authorized to stream it. So Adam will be streaming it on Zoho or Zoom, right? He will talk with, yes.
Deepnil, you can ask.
Deepnil, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Sir, firstly, sir, I also wanted to ask about Ferris Bueller. And sir, secondly, I would like to know my progress about the journal. Sir, how much has it progressed?
Oh, I did not get. Oh, Daniel is talking about the. Thank you, Daniel. He submitted a paper for the journal. So I did not. Unfortunately, I did not get time to do that. Today, after the course, I am going to read it and I will get back to you. So I got several assignments from all the students. Thank you so much for the students sending it to me, the assignment, which is very, very important for me. And I am going to read each and every one, everything, and I will come back to you on that with details. With
Sadia, I think Sadia got some question.
Sadia, go ahead, please.
Sir, can I send the assignments to you personally on your mail?
You can, if you want, like there are two options. That is a great question. There are two options. If you want to, if you are okay with publishing your viewpoint on the course page, please go ahead and do that. Unfortunately, in GrainEd, we don't have a private one-on-one chat window, which we are working on. We will be able to provide in later stages of the courses. But right now, no. So if you want that it need not be public, if you want to send it to me private, you can send it to me directly. No worries, right? You can use Adam, can you send everyone my email also? You have my email, Sadia, right?
Yes, sir, I have it.
Okay, so send it to me. I have too many emails, so don't worry about it. Send it to any email, whether it is Hotmail or Gmail, Culture Shift, iCloud, or Transup Global. Everything will come to me. I am also a little bit confused about my email. So that's an interesting story. When I was planning to run for the Canadian Parliament this election, and we had to file a very detailed application on what we did from high school onwards, everything they want to know. And one thing they wanted to know, list all the emails. And I gave 10 different emails I had from 1991 onwards, 92 onwards, right? That is when I first got an email, right? People were laughing at how many emails you have, right? So that is an interesting story. Anyone else? Anyone else have any question?
Sir, actually, we have a lot of assignments, like we have to reflect on few books, The Audacity of Hope, The Dream of My Father, and many of them. Sir, I don't know how to reflect on a book. What do we mean exactly by reflecting on a book?
Oh,
Do we have to
excellent
write
question.
something?
Not really. I would say that if you want to write, I would be glad to understand that. But even if you are just reading something like, or listening to an audio book and making a small note on WhatsApp, like let us say a 2-3 lines on how it affected you, that is what I mean by reflection. So I'm not asking you to write a critique of a book. Am I making it very clear? So that is completely different. Yeah, that is completely different. No, you are just going and casually reading it. I remember when I was a young man growing up in India, I used to have long train journeys, right? So I read, like I remember one of my longest train journey is from Trivandrum to Guwahati. Like, it took 4 days or something like that in the train. I loved it. And I read so many books, but the reflections is on, like, not critique. I make a note on my my diary at that time. How did I feel? So that is a reflection. That can be 3 lines, 4 lines. In some cases, it can be a paragraph. That is all I need. Did you get the access to the book? Are anyone struggling to get access to the books which we are referring here? Dreams from My Father, or anyone, Sadia, like Siddiqui, like you have a.
Sadia got some questions.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. I have some problem in finding those books. Most of them require some subscription type of thing.
Oh, okay. So I should, because as a part of the course, these are all, we are allowed to share the books, but make sure that when we are giving the PDF or any books, make sure that you are not circulating it. That is a violation of the rule. But you can keep it to yourself and delete. But most of the, I was listening to Dreams from My Father, originally read by President Obama himself on YouTube. Try it out. It's a 2-hour video out there. It's a great presentation by him. And if you are looking at the second one, Audacity of Hope, I would encourage you to listen to. It is a performance, like, he won a Grammy Award for Audacity of Hope, right? Such a beautiful work. Such a beautiful work. Try to read that. Anyone, any other question? I think we are done, Mr. Okay, go ahead, please, go ahead.
Sir, in one of the classes, you also discussed like we can collaborate with MA and we can go for the University of Waterloo competitions. Like,
yes.
So, sir, can you please explain me the process?
Oh, Waterloo. If you are talking about Waterloo exam, that is a contest. Mr. Santosh will be able to send you the details so that we can start registering. But that is so the closest exam in Waterloo is coming is Beaver Challenge in November, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Santosh?
Yeah, that is correct.
Okay. So can you send all the students the details of Beaver Challenge? So that is in November. So they can start preparing with that. And another thing which the American Scholastic Math exam also they can start preparing now, which is in October. So you are allowing all the students to write ASMA, right? Who are registered for AMC. Okay, send them the details, Mr. Santosh.
Yeah, I shared my email ID. So anybody wants to participate in this contest, please send a mail to me. I will share all those details. Okay.
Okay. So some of
Yes,
these
sir.
contests, some of these contests as an AMC student and as a student in this course, you don't have, there is no payment and nothing. So for example, we cover the cost, encouraging you to do that. Something you will get a discount, but something it will all our products, MA products are very, very affordable. It's like that. But I would encourage you to take maximum contest. Very
yeah,
good.
ASMA
Excellent.
we can offer for free. ASMA.
For free. ASMA.
Yeah.
That is a 6-question exam. So it starts in October and goes up to March. October, November, December, January, February, March. You will have an international ranking if you participate in all the last 2-3 years. My students have been topping ASMA. I hope that you guys will keep that up this year also internationally.
Yes,
okay, keep it up. Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Any question? I think
Sir,
we
like
are done.
participating in NSS and the social service activities in my country, in India, will that be helpful in university prep?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Great question. NSS is a great organization. You will learn a lot of things. I was quite active in NSS when I was in school, right? So I remember, are you active in NSS? Siddiqui?
Yes, sir.
Oh, very good. I remember. So I used to get a tea after an event. Do they serve tea even now in your school? After an event? Okay. See, tea and a snack, if I remember correctly, right?
Yes, and we do fun days there.
Oh, okay. I used to enjoy. I used to go to this NSS events to have the tea and the snack. I am there wherever there is food. I am there. You know me. When you're looking at me, you can see that, right? I'm excited about food, right? Anything you will get something to eat. I am there. So NSS is a great opportunity. Go ahead, participate in that, enjoy that. Great organization. That is almost equal to the American version of Peace Corps, right? And Give to Canada. That is another project funded by the Canadian government. All the countries, all the community have programs like that. All those are highly respected and highly involved. I would strongly encourage to continue with that work. It is accepted. I guarantee you that. Don't worry about it. Are there any other questions?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Really a pleasure. Thank you for Rujira ma'am. Thank you for Amitabh for sending the thing. And thank you for Prachi. Send a like and love to all these people, guys. Thank you for participating. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. I can end the meeting, right?
Yeah, you can.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.